This is Rob Talbot for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Mr. Mauricio SULAIMAN of the WBC. How are you, sir?
Fine, Rob. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm very well, thanks. Very well. Always a pleasure to catch up with you. Probably been maybe 3 or 4 weeks since we've spoke. Quite a long time for us at the minute. What have you been up to?
Well, been just moving along. There's a lot of activity going on. And I'm just very happy to see boxing world getting so much great action. Tomorrow there's a tremendous 6 title fight card at the Mohegan Sun. And today I'm in Tijuana to see Chavez and Arce do an exhibition for charity. And just great fights coming along.
Okay, well, before we come on to a few bits and pieces, one thing I'd like to talk to you about, a recent announcement from the WBC about the WBC Middle East with Amir Khan. Just tell us a little bit about the backstory of that. As I understand it, I know it's something that's been in the pipeline for quite a while now with the WBC.
Yes, we have had this for many, many years. My father had a dream of having a boxing program for the Middle East and for so many of the countries that have not yet developed the sport of boxing. My father was born on a family of a Lebanese father and a Syrian mother. So Lebanese, the Middle East blood runs through the SULAIMAN family. So my father had, of course, all the keen interest to always try to develop his sport in this area of the world. He met Amir Khan in 2012 when at the Cowboy Stadium when Pacquiao fought there. And Amir was very kind to my father, very nice. They had a great conversation. And they spoke about this, about the need to have some leadership go into these countries, create programs and create a lot of different things to develop boxing. So the WBC created the concept 2 years ago in the convention, and we have been working very hard with Amir Khan and Taz Khan. We are in a very move forward process, creating catalogs and forms and programs for everything to get established in many different countries. And this will be to be a platform to help amateur boxing, to help professional boxing, to create boxing commissions, to have social responsibility programs, construction of gymnasiums, and go from the ground, put up seats, and then let the countries rise. And we are very excited about this.
As you mentioned, I mean, it's something that not only yourself, but plenty of other people in boxing have always tried to kind of look at the Middle East and the Far East, indeed, as well as potential untapped resources in the boxing world. Say in 10, 15, 20 years' time, how big of an influx or how big of a move could this be for boxing going out to places like the Middle East?
I believe it's going to be a very important part of boxing in the future years. I was in Pakistan 2014. And the potential is unbelievable. The kids, the raw material, the human resources, they are very good athletes. All they need is a good platform and lending heart to put them out and teach them and develop a program. We're not in to do a major event and then leave. That's not the purpose of this federation. It's to go from the very beginning and create a solid platform for each of these countries. So it's something, it's not for tomorrow results, it's a mid and long-term program. And we are very satisfied with how we're moving along.
Okay, it sounds interesting. Obviously, I think it goes without saying at this point, anything that Boxing Social can do to help with the WBC's initiative in the Middle East, you only have to give me a shout, Mauricio. Moving forward, what's the situation at the minute, Mauricio, with the WBC super middleweight title?
At the minute, we received a request to postpone the purse bid, which was scheduled for this past Monday. And as you know, there's some legal issues between Canelo, DAZN, Golden Boy, and they're dealing with that. So the WBC allowed an extension to October the 6th for them to come back to the WBC and see what the status is, and then we will go from there.
Have you had any indication? I mean, obviously, we're going on the past with, for example, Andre Ward, Mikey Garcia. Sometimes these issues can take a little bit of time to resolve. Have you had any indication as to the potential timescale or the timeline that this could be resolved?
Not really. We don't have any information on anything that has to do with that situation. We are just waiting to see how things move along, and we will see in a couple of days what transpired, and then we will go from there. The WBC board is aware of this situation, and we have a variety of options if something happens with this fight that was ordered with Canelo and Yildirim, and then we will move and see when to take a decision. We will know in about a week.
If that, if the dispute or the court case is not resolved in that period of time, could we see a scenario where David Benavidez comes back in to fight for his old title?
As always, I like to be consistent. I don't like to speculate. Benavidez did return to the super middleweight division after he complied with the medical checkup from a professional stating that he can safely make 168. But there are several scenarios. We have discussed it with the board, and we're just going to let this process flow, and then we will make any changes. If Alvarez Yildirim is not happening, then we will address it and report on that.
Moving on, we mentioned it at the very start of the interview, Jermall Charlo and Jermell Charlo in the double header this weekend. Obviously not fighting each other. Jermell fighting Jason Rosario, Jermall fighting Sergei Derevianchenko. Fantastic card. Under any circumstances would be a fantastic card, but particularly at the minute with the situation around the world. Talk to me a little bit about that card, and what does it mean to the WBC to have the WBC titles on the line in such a great event under the circumstances?
It's a tremendous night of boxing. I feel very excited, very proud. I feel hype. Even without this COVID era, that card is a card of an era. It makes all of us think about the 90s when Don King used to put these great cards with Chavez and Tyson and Lopez and Leija and Suma Nelson and Jeff Fenech, all these great cards with multiple title fights. This time, the WBC has 4 fights, both Charlos, also Neri against Alameda, and Roman Payano in a final elimination, plus 2 other title fights, WBA and WBO. It's a tremendous card, and I'm just very excited because they are very good competitive fights, all of them. So this is a complete starting point for the current era of the sport. We are now back officially with this great card. And then you have Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. And then some fights that are down the line going to be announced. So it's exciting. Now we can say we can look back at a dark time, at a very quiet time, and now hopefully this will continue to carry on forward.
1 second, Mauricio. I'm just going to turn my emails off so they stop coming in. 1 second. Yeah, picking it straight up there. You mentioned Vasyl Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. That's crept up on us very, very quickly, even though we've been waiting for a long time for it, if that makes sense. Talk to me a little bit about that fight. Vasyl Lomachenko, obviously franchise champion, going against the IBF champion, Teofimo Lopez.
This is a tremendous unification for the undisputed reign in the lightweight division. And if Teofimo Lopez defeats Lomachenko, he will be recognized also as franchise. That has been voted by the WBC. He will be the supreme champion of the division, and whoever wins is just, without a doubt, the best lightweight in the world. And we are very excited. We are just supportive of this great match. I have spoken to both, and they are very much looking forward to a great event.
Let's just expand on that. I was at the, I was present throughout the convention via Zoom, as you know, recently, the WBC convention, and I was there when the discussion about the franchise title came up. Now, when we originally spoke about the franchise title, you said that it was a designation that could not be lost in the ring. Obviously, Teofimo Lopez has petitioned that if he does beat Lomachenko, he becomes a franchise champion. Would that mean that Lomachenko would also remain a franchise champion? Would he lose the franchise title?
No, this, you know, every matter, every rule has to adapt and evolution. So when you have an instant replay, the way you see instant replay 15 years ago in other sports, the way you see it today, it's a completely different scenario. So in this situation, we received such request and it was granted. So the fight, in fact, will be for the winner. He will be the recognized franchise designation of that division from the WBC.
But yeah, but so if Lomachenko loses that fight, he is still franchise champion as well as Teofimo Lopez?
No, if he loses that fight, he's going to lose the designation as per this specific fight. As you know, only Canelo and Lomachenko hold that designation, and the WBC is adjusting to make this situation specific. It's very unique. So the fight on October will be the winner will be the only franchise. I know this. You and I have spoken about this matter. But I'm sure this can be appreciated to be a positive scenario. So there's no confusion. It's a great matchup, and the franchise tag is unique for the winner of the fight.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we've spoken about it countless times over the past 18 months or so since the introduction of the franchise title. But again, it's kind of trying to keep up with the, as you mentioned, a changing situation with regards to the franchise title. If it's a case of Teofimo Lopez beats Vasyl Lomachenko, does that open it up to potentially other people wanting to petition to fight for the franchise title as opposed to the full WBC title, which is obviously currently held by Devin Haney?
No, absolutely not. The core creation will never change. These will never become another championship. This is something that is exclusively for, as we have explained, for those fighters who are regarded as the best in the world, who run the boxing industry, who have the ability to fight in different weight categories, who have proven to be in the ring the best of the best. So this will not change whatsoever. It's just a matter that we have a world attention into the fight. We have the champion against champion, the petition from Teofimo, and we have granted that the winner will be the WBC franchise champion.
Teofimo Lopez made no secret of the fact that he's, well, he is. You've met him countless times as a guy. He's 135 pounds, but he's a very thick set 135 pounds. He's a very big lightweight. Excuse me. If he moves up to 140 pounds, he takes that designation with him, obviously provided he beats Lomachenko.
Yeah, the designation has, if you're a franchise, you represent the WBC in every fight that you take. So if Canelo fights in cruiserweight or in middleweight, he's representing the WBC. Same will be with the one that wins the fight in October.
Obviously, we're still waiting to hear what's going on with Devin Haney. I spoke to Eddie Hearn the other day. He told me that the possibility, or it's looking very likely, that Devin Haney will box Yuriorkis Gamboa. Would the WBC be interested in ordering the winner of Lomachenko Lopez versus Devin Haney, obviously to try and get the W? Because at the minute, it's sort of an undisputed fight, but it's sort of not, because the WBC title is still held by Devin Haney. Would you order the winner of that against Devin Haney?
The franchise champion has immediate access to challenge any champion at any time, even as a priority, even if there's a mandatory, the franchise, if he elects, if he wants to fight for the championship, he can do so. We do not order this. The designation of the franchise is so they can move and take on the fights that they wish to pursue. So it's a possibility that the winner could fight Haney. It's a possibility. We also have Luke Campbell fighting Ryan Garcia, and that's the one that is the immediate. The winner has the immediate fight against Haney. But if the winner of October 17 requests to fight Haney, that would take precedent.
I'm guessing that if the winner of October 17 decided to jump up to 140, they would become ahead of the mandatory for Jose Ramirez.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on, as you mentioned, Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia. We've had a couple of deals. I've sat in on various purse bids and they've been cancelled, and we have a deals, but we still don't have a date and we still don't have a venue. What update can you give me from the WBC on that fight? Is it done? Is it officially signed? Where are we with that?
Well, both camps confirmed that they had a deal and that everything is ready, and we're just waiting for details for this fight to be scheduled and to take place.
Does the WBC have any time frame on when that fight has to happen?
Not really, but you just gave me a good point. I'm gonna reach out to Eddie Hearn and to Golden Boy to get confirmation on the details, because the fight was excuse me, was ordered to have a purse bid that was postponed twice, and they have reached an agreement. So it is time to get details. We have been very flexible because of the current world pandemic, and we are giving the best support to all promoters. But we have to address this matter.
Final one on all things lightweights, Mauricio. Where are we with Javier Fortuna? What's his situation at the minute?
Fortuna is going to fight, I believe, October 30. I'm not completely sure if that's the exact date. And it is my understanding that he will fight Linares after such fight. But at this moment, he has a fight signed and scheduled, and he will be doing October 30. If the date has not changed, that will be the one.
And that would still be for the Diamond title?
Yes, we have to support what has happened. You know, when COVID gets in the way of a fight, and Fortuna was supposed to fight for the title, then for the interim title, then this fight comes along. We're just trying to accommodate and support the promotions and the fighters. But I will get back to you with the exact information on Fortuna, as I don't have it precise at this moment.
Okay, great. Before we move on to the heavyweights, I just want to talk about a fight that was announced today. WBC champion Miguel Berchelt against Oscar Valdez is reportedly in the works. I can't remember if it's been officially announced, but that's kind of the way that that's going. Fantastic fight, specifically for Mexico.
Fantastic. When you have two Mexican warriors meet in the ring, it's a guarantee that there's going to be fireworks. So I know both of them. Valdez is a former champion in a lighter division, and Berchelt is one of the most solid champions. They are friends outside the ring, and Yosa Zamora and Zarate and Chavez with Ramirez and Barrera and Morales. When you see the two Mexicans going at it, it's going to be a tremendous fight. I'm very excited for that.
You mentioned all of those great Mexican rivalries, and as you say, it's pretty much any time two Mexicans get in the ring and there's a lot on the line and that machismo is on the line, it's always inevitably leads to a fantastic fight. What's been your favorite fight featuring two Mexican fighters, Mauricio?
If I had to say right now, Zarate against Zamora. 1977, both world champions. Zamora was a WBA champion, Zarate the WBC. Zarate had 46-0 with 45 knockouts. Zamora 28-0, 28 knockouts, and they just met in the ring, and it lasted 4 rounds, but it was just a tremendous action. And also, I would say Eric Morales and Barrera, that trilogy was phenomenal. But then if you go to Israel Vasquez and Rafael Marquez, another trilogy for the ages. So it's a fact. When they meet in the ring, there's too much pride to give a step back, and I'm sure this one is going to be special.
Now, I grew up watching the Barrera-Morales trilogies, and giving away how young and youthful I am there, Mauricio, but I grew up and watched those trilogies. I would have never have imagined that they would become friends later on in life, which is where they are now. That's fantastic.
Unbelievable. They are friends, and they go out with their wives and with the kids, and it just shows the great honor that boxing has. Whatever happens in the ring stays in the ring, just like Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And they just move on, and they are happy, and they see each other, and they talk about it. And it's just a great point in the history of the sport. Barrera Morales by itself, it's a great point to see and relate to an age, like you say, you grew up in that trilogy.
Before we go on to the heavyweights, it seems like a good time to make a pit stop, because this is kind of what we're going to be talking about anyway. Where are we with the latest weight class? Obviously, Tony Bellew was charged with coming up with a division in between heavyweight and, well, no, in between cruiserweight and heavyweight. Where are we with that? What's the latest?
Well, we have almost finished all the survey and the research and the statistics, and it looks like we might be moving forward with a weight category. I'm in the process of contacting the other boxing organizations to be respectful and to do it jointly, and we are looking into what would be the process to have a time flexible for the fighters that are in the middle to see how it will handle. But I'm excited about it.
What are the outlines of the weight classes? I saw something came out a few weeks back. I think it was mentioned that the cruiserweight limit would potentially return to 190 pounds. Where are we with the weight? Where are they going to end up?
One thing I can tell you is going to be 224 pounds. So you make it 16 stone. So as a respect to the stone measurement, we decided to do it 224 and not 225. And we are in the process of deciding if we move down the light heavyweight from 175 to 190 instead of to 200, to cut down those 10 pounds. And because that complication of the cruiserweights of being 200 up, it's a great step. But it is also for the light heavyweights from 175 all the way to 200. So we are finalizing this process.
Final one on that. When I was talking about it, when we first spoke about it, I think the general feedback was, first of all, that people don't want another weight class. But second of all, as you mentioned, that light heavyweight to cruiserweight was the gap that people wanted to see bridged. Now, you're obviously telling me that that's going to potentially happen. But what do you say to people who are less than excited, shall we say, about the possibility of another weight class in boxing?
Well, as always, a change creates resistance. Everything in life, when you have a change, it's natural, it's human nature to have resistance. But what I can say to those is that this has many safety features as a priority. priority, and also it can give an opportunity to so many fighters who are right there in the middle of either sacrificing weight to stay within a division that they cannot safely make weight, like Tony Bello used to stay in light heavyweight and not moving to cruiserweight, or a same Tony Bello who is a small heavyweight, or Usyk, or so many fighters that are not that big that can be as competitive or safely fight in a weight category. So if they are traditionalists, that of course we respect that, and they have the right to feel that way and to express it. We are trying to do something that has safety features and also create opportunities to fighters who are within a range that they cannot move up in weight without sacrificing speed and simply just blow up just to gain weight, or that have to stay down in order to try to compete and be a champion.
Where are we with Wilder Fury 3, Mauricio? We're still waiting on an announcement. Every time I speak to you, we say, you know, it's supposed to happen this year. December 19 was kind of the date that was penciled in. Frank Warren a couple of days ago said that they're now looking potentially at taking it abroad to somewhere with a site fee. What indication, if any, of the WBC had around that third fight?
December 19. That's what I have been told all along. We have not had a firm, solid confirmation, and we're just waiting. We are in September. We're waiting for this announcement and other announcements. But as I said, we've been completely flexible to every promoter, to every champion, every challenger, and addressing every topic separately. Because if you don't do that at these times, then you will be making a disservice to the sport and to them. So we're waiting. We are happy. It's a tremendous fight. The fight of the year for 2020 was what we saw February 22nd in Las Vegas. And for them to meet for a third time is just fantastic. So we are waiting, and I'm sure it will be resolved soon, because time is, as you say, approaching. We were July, now we're in September, and we'll see what happens.
Mauricio, who currently, if anybody, is the WBC mandatory challenger at heavyweight?
There is no mandatory contender right now. We have a interim champion who is Povetkin, and the interim champion has rights. He's a fighter who holds rights and also obligations. We long reported, you were the continuous source of information regarding Dillian Whyte's status, and it was confirmed over and over, and he got knocked out by Povetkin, and consequently he lost the mandatory position that he had. That is the exact situation right now.
You mentioned that. I spoke to Eddie Hearn the other day. Obviously, I'd spoken to you as well, and you told me, as I relayed to Eddie in the interview, that there's still been no petition from Eddie Hearn or from Matchroom Boxing to sanction the rematch between Alexander Povetkin and Dillian Whyte. Eddie assures me that that's completely standard procedure and standard practice. What can you tell me about that?
Could you please, you froze a little bit. Could you please repeat? You spoke to Eddie?
Sure. Yeah, so I spoke to Eddie as after I spoke to you and relayed to Eddie that a petition hasn't been submitted to sanction the interim title for Whyte Povetkin 2. Now, Eddie told me that that was standard procedure and standard practice at this point. What's the WBC standpoint?
I don't understand what that means, standard procedure.
So Eddie said it's quite normal for a fight to be announced and then a petition to be sent in to sanction it for the title.
I don't know what to say. If you have a habit and you keep doing that, it does not necessarily mean that's correct. The correct procedure and the only procedure for the WBC is to receive a petition, and then the petition to be addressed and formalized. So for the WBC, there's no fight right now. We have not been requested for a sanction of any fight of a rematch. So I think that's common sense, and it's absolutely, there's no other way around. If there is no petition, there is no response. So for the WBC, we have not received a petition for the rematch, and that's where we stand right now. We cannot rule, but by what we see in the media outlet. We just for the WBC, there's no petition right now.
So, but ordinarily or preferably from the WBC's point of view, you would have received this petition before the fight was announced.
That's what most cases happen. When a promoter is set to do a fight, they usually contact and they receive permission to announce it to be official. But if that's a promoter's practice to announce, and then, I mean, we have nothing against it, because it's if that's the way they do it, then that's it. But it doesn't mean that the fight can be confirmed. The WBC or any other organization can or cannot accept a request, sanction request.
One of the other things I've spoken to Eddie about is obviously we had this long protracted stage where Dillian Whyte was the mandatory challenger after beating Oscar Rivas, or the #1 contender before them for several months. Where does it stand if Dillian Whyte defeats Alexander Povetkin? Eddie Hearn said to me that if Whyte beats Povetkin, the reason why the fight is happening so quickly is so that Dillian Whyte can get his mandatory status back before Wilder Fury 3. What's the WBC's stance on that?
I cannot respond. We have not received a request for a rematch, and this is not my decision. It's the WBC Board of Governors to rule on every situation. So just too much speculation, and I don't want to get in a confrontation of what Eddie Hearn says or what Eddie Hearn does. It just the WBC takes cases and administers the division as per the rules and regulations. So
sure, I understand that, and certainly not my style to go from he said, she said, but as the WBC president, you're probably the best person that I can ask. Just staying with that, with Whyte Povetkin 2. Now, after the first fight, when we spoke, I said to you, well, you told me that Tyson Fury would be given a voluntary defense after Wilder Fury 3, and the mandatory process would start again. Is that still the case?
I mean, the case is the case. I mean, what very unfortunately for Dillian Whyte, he was knocked out in the fight that just happened. So right now there's no, that mandate has disappeared because he was knocked out. And we expect Fury Wilder in December. So now the time has just simply not become a factor. There was a ruling which stipulated Dillian Whyte, if he beats Povetkin, he's confirmed as mandatory for the winner of Wilder Fury. Now he lost, he was knocked out. So the time factor is not of consideration right now.
Ordinarily, the WBC would have 12 months. So is it realistic to expect that 12 months after Whyte Povetkin 2, that would be the next mandatory?
If that fight is confirmed as the mandatory, that it's when you become mandatory, that's a year for the fight to, that's when the clock starts to run. So
as we
what they say,
Sure, I understand that. Just final one, but as we stand, Tyson Fury, or the winner of Wilder Fury 3, all being well, gets a voluntary defense of the title as it is. One thing I wanted to clear up with you, Mauricio, in the wake of White Rivas, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 2, that was sanctioned by the WBC as a mandatory defense by Deontay Wilder. Is that correct?
yes, that is correct. That was a mandatory for the year. Fury at that time at the convention in Cancun, that's where it was when they made a petition, and that was because Dylan White, if you recall, at that time he was the interim champion, but he had a UCAT situation that was pending. So we didn't know, nobody knew when that would be resolved and how it would be resolved. So Fury was the #1 contender, and at the convention that was accepted to be the mandatory for the division. That is correct.
Okay, great. Mauricio, always a pleasure catching up with you. Thank you very much for doing your best to clarify these situations. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Take care, Rob. Have a great weekend.